Hey, it's Saturday night, and I've got a whole new swoopy setup, so we'll see how it rolls along this evening, and hopefully I can actually streamline the comments coming in from across the platforms and more readily respond, because I don't really have anything planned thematically other than October summer nights, which are a thing currently and is a lovely surprise that I wasn't expecting. So, welcome to October summer nights on a Saturday night. And of course, this week, as every week, has been completely insane. But here we are. So let's see if I can. I have this one particular thing that kind of pulls together the platforms into one more coherent view, but not sure how well it actually works. Oh yes, and then YouTube is always warning me. The resolution. I'm always so scattered in my resolution. So yeah, so how's it going? How's it going for you? It's pretty crazy here in the States, as always, and particularly crazy in my state because someone actually plotted to kidnap the governor. Of all things. I wasn't expecting that. I actually was trying to take this bit of a social media fast and just take a break from it, and of course I tuned into one of them and discovered that was the news for the week, which was just, I thought I couldn't be surprised, but I was surprised. So whatever. This is definitely, well, presidential election years are always a little bit mania. And so I've started to streamline where I'm actually tuned in on the internet, on the social media, over the different platforms. Turned off my Facebook this week. Just the first time that I've turned that off, deactivated it in I think 6 months. And then before that it was off for almost a whole year. And so that felt pretty good to do. A little bit weird. You get accustomed to being able to just flip open the Facebook and see what's going on, but it's really nice to tune out every now and again. So that was my big personal news as far as being online and engaged in internets, and I think that most of my friends are exasperated with all of my video experiments. So now it's time to find new horizons and new ideas and new platforms and new things. And I have actually this this camera that I'm using tonight is a new streamer camera, which I don't think has as good resolution as my other one, but it doesn't go out of focus. It's a fixed focus, so 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. It's some kind of a dance like that. And I'm hoping that hoping this chat little congregator is actually functioning. So if you're tuning in and listening, tell me, just type a note, say hello in the chat and where you're tuning in from, and anything else that's been a highlight of your week. I have been pretty chill, actually, letting myself just kind of slow down and be more immersed in my immediate world of this apartment that I live in, and I purchased a few more books this week that were delivered yesterday, and I'm pretty excited to read them. One of them is a memoir of a woman who grew up in the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio, and then another is about the Whiskey Rebellion, and then another is about the psychology of things and stuff and in our modern capitalist world. And funny that one of the things I have most are lots of books, and so of course I ordered more books, and one of the books was about having stuff. So that's the irony of existence, I reckon. This is my Whiskey Rebellion from the Grand Traverse City Distilling Company. It's one of their a straight bourbon mixed with a ginger beer. It's actually pretty good. I had not thought that was something that could be good, but it actually is. And actually did a couple of photographs in the last week that kind of showcase my particular aesthetic interest in cocktail photography, and I like them. I haven't figured out exactly how to promote what I do just yet with having like a little home photography studio to do cocktail portraits, but I'm having a lot of fun like figuring that out and figuring out what is a good set, like a little miniature set. It's actually, I've kind of just stumbled upon some pretty cool places in my apartment and on my balcony that is a good setup for doing cocktail photography. So now I go through this like phase of if I buy something new that I can't I can take like I can have like a drink, but I have to do my whole like photo shoot before I have more than one or two drinks, because then of course the bottle gets to be a little depleted and not as photogenic. So that's kind of that's the mini drama going on in my life in the background of that I have to do the photo shoot of the new bottle of whiskey or gin relatively quickly, because otherwise it's just not as good. And what I've discovered actually in that collection of doing that and then some of the painting that I've done is I really like the color orange, like shades of orange, and even I think my camera even right now is a little bit tinged to an orange hue, which I have to like make myself correct because I like orange so much. And so I'm like slowly been working my way back to doing music on Saturday nights, and it's been a pretty slow turnaround because I've been sick, and you can kind of probably even still hear like the congestion for emphasis. And so it's been a slow return to doing music on Saturday nights, which has kind of been a nice challenge for me to figure out how to do a talk show on a Saturday night. Like, what do you talk about on a Saturday night? How do you entertain people in the wilderness of the internets? Once upon a time, it was entertaining people that I knew, but now I've just ventured into entertaining people I don't even know, which is kind of liberating, actually. I think the trouble with Facebook and some of the other platforms probably is that it just gets to be so suffocating. It's like all the people since grade school. Like, what? I'm not sure, actually mostly I think it's like some of the folks that I knew in high school. I don't necessarily want to still talk to them. Sorry. A lot of you are pretty cool, but some of you are kind of mean. So, like being connected on social media to folks from all across your life, like that used to not be a thing at all. And we could like kind of just go on about our business and our lives and create a whole new social network for ourselves. But now it's more confining. It's like social media makes small towns of us all. Like everything that we do is like we're always living in a small town where everybody knows each other kind of thing. And that gets old. It really does. So, turned it off. And then I thought, well, what better way to make new friends than to broadcast from my own home studio live on Saturday nights? And see what happens. And see what I even come up with to talk about. And how to get people to respond. There's people out there streaming for like hours and hours. Like, how do you guys even do that? Like, that's like, it's such a commitment. But I realize it's just a lifestyle. It's like you get accustomed to that's what you do. Still, man, so much time. So, yeah, where am I? Great Lakes region. October summer nights has been like what they call an Indian summer, when the summer extends into the fall season a bit longer, which makes for some pretty beautiful days. Warm autumn days are some of my favorite. And there's probably a few more of them this week before the weather's going to really turn hard into cold blusteriness. But until then, there'll be some more walks in semi-sweaters and flip-flops. And hopefully this week I actually be able to get back to rehearsing some songs and get through them in full fashion. Which is to say, actually like rehearse and get back to doing music on Saturday nights, which I feel is pretty close. Like I feel like my, whatever that is, my need to perform music is definitely starting to like chomp at the bit. Like, okay, it's been like, I don't know, 2 months or something. It's a long time. So I just kind of wax on poetic, philosophic about very random things. Like last week it was time travel, some sort of like theoretical exploration of time travel, and then linking that back even further to free will and determinism, and some kind of a time travel research experiment, because I think underneath all of it, really, I just have like a lot of science fiction that I need to write out at some point. But until then, it just kind of like all bubbles around in my head and kind of like just percolates like a kettle. All these different ideas and stories that I could turn into some pretty cool narratives, but I just don't ever actually do the thing. So they're just stories that hang out and seem to be populating these live streams with some really wacky ideas and fairly nonsensical presentation and format. So that's, really the fun part of all this, is that this is just mostly nonsense and kind of a place for me to just have fun and experiment with all the little technical pieces that go into doing this. And so, there's lots of people out there putting out content that's like very meaningful and very important and like very like packaged, or maybe it's a lot more structured, but not me. The hell with all that. This is just like, there's just too much stress and weirdness going on in the world. Like, let's just let this be. I don't know, whatever this is. It's like clocking out and just heading down to the local bar to have a beer at happy hour kind of a thing. I don't know. It's just pretty chill. So I don't know if I have like this chat log that's kind of congregating chats from across a couple different platforms, but I don't know if it's actually working. So if you're typing me comments in the chat and I don't see them, that's why, because I'm looking at this other thing. Because otherwise I start to get like really overwhelmed with all of these different platforms across the Interscape. Is that a word? Interscape. It could be. Yeah, so well, I guess I could actually attempt a song and just see what happens, see what comes out. Yeah, let's see what wants to emerge. Let's see. You would only sometimes call through the midst of it all. It's true, and I don't even wonder why. And I don't need to say goodbye. See the light dancing starboard, dancing starboard. I can see the light dancing starboard. Will you be home? like the first complete song I've sung and played in like a really long time. So let's see what else rolls out. Aw, thank you. Oh, so the chat congregator is working. Thank you. I appreciate that. Every song, every street, every dream, don't you know what you put me through? From the sun to sun to stand and all as hard as you. I leave the light on for you. Through all the sleepless nights, I'll sing this song for you. Every song, every street, every dream, don't you know what you put me through? On the train outside the sun, and then the golden tide is through. I leave the light on for you. Through all the sleepless nights, I'll sing this song for you. Through all the sleepless nights, I'll sing this song for you. Yeah, wow. A little rusty. But it's all in there still. Thank God. Aw, thank you. I appreciate that. I've been sick for like a really long time, it feels like. And I haven't even picked up my guitar because it just makes me sad. It's a respiratory condition that's not COVID, even though I've been tested now for COVID 3 times just because what if? But it's not that, and I seem to now be finally on the mend, but it's been like just congested, bad cough, all the usual like precursory. Yeah, it feels yes, I definitely feel like my voice is fragile. It's like, well, actually I don't know that I feel like my voice is fragile. I feel like it's just I'm still working through some congestion, so it compromises how I sing things. And it but this is like this is so much better than what it's been. The last 2 months have been kind of crazy, actually. So this is a nice return to finally be able to pick up the guitar and feel at least somewhat confident that I can probably at least ad hoc finish something. Finish a song or two, or even remember it. Like, I worked a lot on like a few different songs to like actually finish them this year. Yeah. Does it sound fragile? Yeah, it definitely is. Like, I mean, that's probably like the first time that I've sang in I don't know, a while. Yeah, I can actually I should find my lyrics. Let's see. She waits at night from the depths of her grief, desperately weeping for a moment's reprieve, once for loss of lover's dream, twice for loss of love. Do you realize the trouble we're in won't be long for the past and us in. So take all these dreams, consider them true. You've shattered the rest, and you've shattered me too. So take all these dreams, consider them true. You've shattered the rest, and you've shattered me too. Pocket of suicide, a snag in the dream, and silently arise and transcend the grief. Yes, it's time to rise and begin. Yes, it's time, 'cause the ice is getting thin. So take all these dreams, consider them true. You've shattered the rest, and you've shattered me too. Take all these dreams, consider them true. You've shattered the rest, and you shattered me too. So softly my heart weeps, the song so sure. I often find a nuance in time where the harmony is pure. So softly my heart dreams like a fox so assured. I'll often find a nuance in time where the harmony is pure. Loved in a trace of time where the wild is encouraged. Restless Unshattered. Aw, thank you. Aw. Thank you. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, that's probably one I've been working on the final details on that one for a while. There's more to it, and there's definitely more belting out of that one, but I'm not there right now. So, but yeah, that's what I wrote that. Actually, it's been a work in progress for many years. So there's, and then there's actually I make myself jump over to electric guitar more often, so that I don't like fall into just writing a lot of like folky type stuff. Yeah, that should be my next album. That should totally be my next album, October Summer Nights. I mean, because that is it's a great name. And actually that came, like, I came up with that like moments before I put this together to go live, because I was like, I don't know what the title is for tonight. I don't really have a theme. I'm not even really sure what I'm going to talk about or what I'm going to say. In fact, the working title was something like, "What else can I say?" or something like that. And then yeah, then it just became like, well, you know, why not October Summer Nights? Because that's kind of what like we have right now, which is awesome. And so so now I'm encouraged to keep playing, to work through some of this stuff. Because it kind of is. It's well, this is fun. Thank you. I'll have to figure out which songs go on which ones. And let's see, I haven't played this in a long time either, so we'll see how this one goes. Let's see if I can remember the rhythm of it. Oh, this is gonna take me a minute. Oh man, it's gonna take me a minute. Holy crap. Everything in between is all the shadow on the heart, and you may not know the score from all that follows from the war. Let us far of course. Rebel, rebel, tell me how it used to be. Rebel, rebel, tell me what you want from me. It may be a vision falling from a heart of its own and still unknown. This vision is more than me, carries me, it's written in stone. You damn well better see it through for sure. You damn well better see it through for sure. Through for sure, and nothing more. Take the time to even the score. Rebel, rebel, tell me how it used to be. Rebel, rebel, tell me what you want from me. It may be a vision falling from a heart of its own and still unknown. This vision is more than me, carries me, it's written in stone. You damn well better see it for sure. You damn well better see it for sure. Through for sure, and nothing more. Take the time to even the scar. Through for sure, and nothing more. Take the time to even the scar. Even the scar, even the scar, even the scar. Now you see the shadow on the hall, vanishing until there's nothing more. Until there's nothing more. Until there's nothing more. Until there's nothing more. Everything in between. That's the name of that one. The first song that I learned, I don't really take requests because I don't actually have a repertoire of cover songs. I mostly write them. The first song that I probably learned to play was, I don't know, Mary Had a Little Lamb. When I was taking guitar lessons and I was like 10, and I had this electric guitar that I still have that my dad gave me, and I had a pretty awesome rocker guitar instructor, and so I'd be like playing these like really simple songs on this beautiful electric guitar, and that was probably the first one. The first song I think that I like attempted to learn on acoustic might have been Landslide, or one that I actually did try to keep in my repertoire was a song by Concrete Blonde that actually I don't think it was written by them, but that was one they performed. But I can't remember the name of it. It's a Concrete Blonde song. It's a really famous one. It's a good one. Tomorrow Wendy. Tomorrow Wendy. Yeah, that's fun. Actually, I'm not going to do that right now, but I could probably actually manage to muster that one up at some point. Oh. No, actually, I felt like I had a lot of work to do. That's what I felt like. I've never really been, I don't know, like, I never have gotten a lot of satisfaction out of learning other people's songs. Like, some of them, because I like to play music for my own company. So, like, some of the songs, it was like, oh, like, that's awesome that I can play that now for myself. I don't have to resort to listening to a recording, and I can just play it, like Tomorrow Wendy, for instance. But for the most part, I focus more on creating my own stuff because my creative time has been so limited over the years that when I finally get a chance to like sit down and work on just music or any form of art, I just want to create something out of whatever rawness is existing for me at the moment and get it down before I'm like pulled back into reality of a song of my own that I loved. Yeah. Well, The Light Starboard is one that I like a lot. There's a few songs that I like that I wrote that I love to play. There's a few songs I wrote that I actually decided I didn't like them at all, but they're still worth publishing because somebody else might decide that it's worth playing and they might actually like playing it. I don't, but some of them I don't, which was a funny point to get to. Be like, oh, like that's finished, good. I don't like it. A song of my own that I loved, yeah. I mean, really, like, most of what I try to play is like basically to make myself feel better. So there's a lot of stuff that I play that I love. And sometimes it's not even the full song necessarily, it's just a groove. But there is, yeah, there's really kind of a lot, which is good. It's a good sign. There is one very specifically that I wrote, and I like worked on it really hard, and I recorded it, and I did got a pretty good, decent recording. I mean, home recording, not like studio. I haven't paid a studio yet. And then finished the lyrics, the whole deal, and then I finally got to the end of it, and I listened to it a few times, and I was like, okay, well, that's a good finished piece, but you know what? I don't like it. And I don't want to play it anymore to like fix it, to make it something that I like. And so I don't hate it, I just don't like it. And that song is actually, that was a good like turning point for me to realize, like, oh, like I can write songs that I can still publish, and someone else might like it, and they might like take it up, and I can, just make money by someone else performing my songs. But what it did though is it made it easy for me to let it go. It's like, oh, like good, like I just, please push this one away. Like, it's just not into it exactly. I did feel like I grew from there. Like at that point I was just like, oh, like this is how you let go of a work. Like you say, like this is how you can say, okay, I'm done working on this, and I'm gonna let it go, and I'm gonna like put it in the pile of like, this needs to get published at some point, and then let it be what it is, and then maybe someone else will come along and pick it up and interpret it, and or maybe not, but it's like, it just felt good to finish it. And that letting go part was really important, because I think that's what stops me pushing through to publish a lot of stuff, is that I won't let it go. Like it's mine, it's all mine. And so just getting familiar with that feeling of what it's like to let go of a finished song and move on from it and work on other things. So yeah, that's, I think, what I got out of it most more than anything is what it's like to finish something and to set it down and be like, okay, I'm done. Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, there's a few actually that I play on acoustic guitar that I actually would prefer to play on electric with a, like a full Marshall stack and a drummer and a bass player. That's actually how I want to share it. I like to share it. I write a lot of stuff on acoustic, and I play most often on acoustic because it's pretty, it's easy. But when I do have a friend that I hang out with from time to time, and he can play a lot of different instruments, but he's been playing drums more often on some of my songs, and I play them electric, and they're really rocking. Like when I get on the electric guitar, like it's like a whole nother song, and it just feels amazing. And then like the way that I want to sing it, and the way I want to play it, and the way I want to arrange everything, and the lyrics that I want to come out at that point are there's so much more life and energy to it. And so I have a few songs I've been working on over the last year or two that, now that I'm starting to get my voice back, I can actually work on finishing them, or at least, get them further along. And so now I kind of push myself to go between acoustic and electric to get the real form of the song, like the real spirit of it. Because once I play it on electric and I go back to acoustic, it has a whole nother energy that it didn't have if it was just straight up always playing it acoustic. So it's really, I don't know, it's kind of like, I kind of do the same thing with writing. Like I like to type, like just regular writing, like, prose or poetry is like, and really even with lyrics too, is like I like to write stuff out longhand and then type it up, and then I have some sunglasses somewhere. But I like the back and forth, like with the analog and the digital with writing. So like I'll type it up, I'll print it out, and then I'll mark it up with my pencil, and then I go back and and incorporate all those changes. So it's kind of like the same thing with electric and acoustic guitars. I kind of do the same iterative back and forth process, and it's like it wouldn't be the same if I didn't do that back and forth iterative process. And I think that's what makes the way I create so satisfying, is I just indulge myself in that kind of, I don't know, like play back and forth these different methods, and then it's like a mixed methods approach. Is the lyrics the same as the chords when you are writing? Or what do you mean? Like, do I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but what that makes me want to say is that I have to push myself. How do I write with lyrics? Well, kind of. Like, I have to push myself to really work on the lyrics so that they're not just kind of like being carried along by the chords and the chord progression, but actually become a melody all on their own on top of the chord progression. And so I work at that from different angles. Actually, I have been pushing myself to come up with melodies and lyrics before I even pick up a guitar, and then figure out what it is that progression is or wants to be, and then work it out that way. Or I come up with the groove and then just let the lyrics kind of tumble out as they will, and do kind of like a soft singing, like find the melody along with the chords that I've chosen to work with. Both. I start both. Well, I guess I would say I don't usually start on paper for songwriting. The paper usually is a mad flurry. When I realize I've got something, I'm either reaching for the little handheld digital recorder, or I'm reaching for paper and pencil frantically because words have just like coherently come forth, and I need to grab them and write them down very quickly before I forget what I just came up with. And so I think I would say I equally start on guitar and just coming up with vocal melodies, like just coming up with like a, just kind of a little melody that I want to sing, and then coming up with some lyrics, or at least some like working lyrics that I want to sing from there. And then I choose whether I'm going to work it out on a guitar or on the keyboard, actually. Yeah. That's cool. You wake up from a dream and need to draw. That's awesome. That sounds like, it's like eating, I don't know, it's like eating like pudding for breakfast. Yes. There's so much stuff that I have to get it down before I lose it. And I have like all kinds of little tiny notebooks everywhere, like in my purse, in my pocket, in my backpack, in my, just on like every, like within hands, within arm's reach, pencils scattered all over the place, and then constantly making sure that they're sharpened, because I have no idea when I'm going to need them, and how quickly I'm going to need them, and how quickly I need to like jot something down before it's gone for basically forever. Like, it might come back kind of the same, but it doesn't ever really quite come back the same. And the best though is when I decide, like I suddenly just decide I need to sit down and play something on the guitar, and like what comes out is something I've never played before and never sang before, but it just all happens, and it just like channels through me all at once. And that, when that happens, I basically have to like sit with that song and play it a few times so that I can just kind of burn it in, because the chances of me having press record on the digital recorder is like really low, and so then I have to just try to play it as much as I can to burn it in, and then I'll try to grab some paper or try to grab the digital recorder and hit record. Yeah, mechanical pencils is probably a good thing for me to have more of scattered about. I actually have, this is what I have right now. I have these, you see these Ticonderoga, these like, I like they're just the, number 2 pencils, pretty run of the mill, but I like them because they're black pencils instead of the regular like yellow. So it's just more aesthetically pleasing to me. But as you can see, I have 2 of them very nearby. There's probably another one over there, and there's probably more. There's actually one on my balcony, and there's more in the living room. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Not only do you have to sit and look at it, but you have to like back away. Look at all. Like look at the whole thing, and like from different distances. That's like really, I think, a necessary component to really get at what it is that you want from it. And yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, absolutely. Just looking at the art, and like as in with music, it's like listening to it, like listening to whatever stage it's in, and listening to the recordings. And that's actually been a favorite part for me, is to create recordings that are most of the time pretty like rough, but I love them. They're like, it's just raw art, and then I figure out a way to get them onto some form of media that I can listen to it in my car, and then that sound system has like, it's just, then I'm like immersed in the piece, and I can really start to hear what I want to hear in it and where I want to take it, and then I'll start to hear like all the melodies and the vocal layers that I could add to it, which is almost becomes a form of like insanity, because my mind is just like, will start creating more and more layers that I can add to something. Oh yeah, you sound like you've got some good practices. That's awesome. So it sounds like you're a visual artist. You draw. That's you should drop a link in that chat to your stuff, whatever, if you want. I'm curious to see what it is that you create. I found that like allowing myself to do visual art has been really good for me overall too. Like I kind of was being a bear about letting myself do visual art, because I was like, well, I just need to like focus on, like hone in on a few forms, like hone in on music and writing, and like don't get distracted by other forms of art. But I'm actually finding that it's really important for me to allow myself to work with whatever medium my body needs to work with at any given time. And it's not even that, it's just like allowing my mind to freely engage in the artistic process and the process of creating something, whether it's writing or music or performing or visual art, which for me tends to be photography and painting most often. I do sometimes draw, and probably should more often, but that like allowing myself to move in between the different forms of art is important for the whole thing, like the whole package, because allowing myself to just paint for a while, or to move to photography for a while, and then kind of like, and then just naturally segue back into doing music or just regular writing has actually been like how I've moved forward on all of them. And you are saying so many interesting things. With cold eyes. No, don't say you're sorry. No, it's like, these are awesome. I love it. These are awesome things that you're saying. Thank you. I like it. I love it when people engage with like talking about art and artistic process. Like, people don't really talk about it as much as they probably should. It's yeah, no, there's Stephen King wrote this memoir about the process of writing, like writing about writing, and there's a couple of things. I mean, a lot of what he said was really awesome, but a couple of things that really stuck with me was, one, to write with the door closed. Like, don't worry about that anyone else is going to see it. You are the only person that's going to see it. When you're done writing, put it in a drawer and leave it there for a year. Just leave it alone, and then come back to it after a year and see what you have. You are a true artist. Oh man. I was gonna say, sometimes when I let myself paint for a while and that's all I'm really doing is just painting, like, I feel like I forget how to talk to people because my mind starts to work in a very, like, it's just different way of like your brain chemistry. You see, like, your neurons just start to fire differently and very differently when you're doing visual, or when you're painting or drawing too, like, because you're working with like different pieces of this, puzzle of what you're envisioning, and like figuring out how to put all these pieces together, which is very non-linear. And and so I find that it like messes with my, like, how I communicate with people, just like in a conversation. That writing music too also will start to mess with how I like have a conversation, which is kind of, it's kind of fun actually. Oh, I'm not sure what you mean. Is that, well, writing with the door closed, I think that's what you're commenting on probably. Well, it's just to allow yourself that artistic freedom, so that you just have that artistic freedom. You're not worried about criticism. You're not worried about somebody else's perspective or thoughts on it, or at least not yet, right? And so what do you mean your nemesis is viewing it? Yeah, I don't know what you I hate that guy too, man. He's a pain. You're fun. You're funny. Yeah, I think I've got like a few of those guys hanging out here and there. Usually it's that I am like, my fear is that I'm just incredibly boring. There's nothing, like, it's not evoking anything. like it's just like flatline kind of response. Like, that's my fear. And which often I think is actually true. Sometimes I feel like I strive for like middle of the pack, like grayness, and I'm not really sure that I can explain that anymore, or even explain why, but that I was, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we are our own worst critics, I think is what you're saying, right? You're just saying me is the worst critique. That is a strange sentence structure. Yeah. Yeah, well, I feel like for me, like, photography, visual, and this is why visual art has become such an important, critical part of all of my artistic process, is because photography is really easy to do. I mean, at least to like go out and capture images. It isn't to say that they're like all stunning, but it's easy to like break whatever kind of like rut that you're in, or to just challenge that, I don't know, whatever that pressure is to not be artistic. Like, photography is a really good way to just grab your gear and get out there and just immerse yourself in the capture of the art, to be in that mode, and to just break apart that kind of, that whatever the, whoever that guy is that's saying that art is bad. It's like, it just like kind of like gets them to shut up for a while, because then you're just immersed in the, or at least me, I'm immersed in the process of the visual, of creating the visual art. And the same with painting too, is then it's like I just get lost in working with color, and the color and working with the colors is actually what kind of like just lets me immerse in the creative process, where I kind of forget that there's some of those critical voices that could be out there somewhere. But mostly the critic in me is saying, I can do better, I can be better, this can be better, this can get much better if I if I spend the time, if I invest in the time and what it takes to like build that skill to get better. So for me, like everything which is like is good and bad, is like everything I do is like, oh, that can be better, oh, that can be better, that can be better, because I could I can do this, or I could do that, and which all requires time, that, you know, like the 10,000 hours. And but at the same time, it's like, well, I also just want to let things be good as they are, and allow it to exist as something beautiful, or not beautiful, but allow it to exist as it is, and appreciate it as it is, without pushing it to be better. Yeah. Yeah, I do really focus on the journey and not the destination. But I've been on this journey for so goddamn long that I want some finished product. And I want some finished product so that I can like actually get to a point where I have, you know, completed collections and You're funny. I really appreciate you. Like really thoughtful responses. This is thank you. So my vision is at some point I'll have a collection of completed visual art works, whether they're printed in like larger print photos or paintings or both, or like a combination of both, because I really am a mixed media artist. But then also having like the whole, like figure out like where is this gallery exhibit, and then have my music playing over the, you know, in the sound system for the, you know, the opening night, or for like the time that the exhibit is being displayed. And then of course like the, you know, the opening night, like the, you know, the party. It's got to be a party. And so then I'm just like, oh, okay, like, well then that's gonna be, there's all kinds of things to do for that, and I can like bring all these different artistic creations to bear, and this like, you know, performance art piece that is also the, you know, just bringing everything together. And so like I have this vision that I will have all of these things completed at some point, where I can have like you know, just the production, the whole production. That will be the time that I'll be like, thank God. like I know it's a journey, but I still want the destination. Oh. October Summer Nights album cover. Yeah, well, I don't know what that will be. That will be like, that will be probably something of a montage of photography and painting. I actually kind of was seeing some of that come through in I had a collection of photographs that I suddenly realized that there is a lot of like gold and orange tones, kind of like October harvest tones, that would work well for an October Summer Nights album cover. So I will take that into consideration. And yeah, so this is the October Summer Nights performance piece. This is the part of my living memoir of talking about art and artistic process that will be, goes into the collection of this particular Saturday night production, which is in itself a work in progress, in fact. So as you can see, as I'm elaborating, I allow myself a very grand range of mediums to work with. Yeah, well, I think what I am is a rambunctious artist that will not be limited by form or method or medium. And what I've learned over the years is that I just have to let myself choose which one I want to work with and just let it happen and don't get in my own way, because it just wastes time. And just let it happen, whatever it is. Just let it be a free process. And then I have no idea what that is supposed to mean. Are you trying to be? You're funny. Oh, what is that even? What is that even supposed to mean? Oh, well, so anyway, but I mean, is to say that it would be nice if I could just focus on like 2 or 3 art forms and just spend all my time on those 2 or 3. And I suppose I kind of do that, but it's more like 4 or 5. And what I learned is that that's just how it is. And I have to stop fighting that. It's just how it is. And the more that I fight against it, the more time I waste. And so instead, I should just create these spaces where I can embrace whatever art form I need to embrace at the time, and then allow myself to immerse in it and create whatever that is. And then when I'm done, move on to whatever it is I need to do next, and just don't waste any time fighting with, oh, I should really focus on just these things. Or just fuck it. Just focus on what my existence needs to do, and then move on to the next thing. And ideally, these things would all relate to each other as a broader body of work, and then I could pull them together as a multimedia art installation and a pretty intricate exhibit of work in whatever way makes the most sense, and that they would have interrelated themes and thematical connections that then, like, I would see it, like, once I put that all together, then I'd be like, oh, like, I've actually been working on all these different pieces that actually are pieces of one big work, body of work, or a masterpiece, or several of them for that matter. And when I think about it like that, then I'm like, oh, okay, good. That's good, because I was getting worried. Oh yeah, so that's what I try to do, is like, okay, like, well, let's kind of hone back to like, what are some like these, what are like the main 3. So it's songwriting, it's always increasing my proficiency as a vocalist and guitarist, and then being able to pluck out the melodies on keyboard and really be able to kind of push myself to play piano. I'm not a piano player, but I can, and I can play by ear, so it's a good instrument to work with. So that's one for sure. Writing, and that's kind of what I push myself to do, is conceptualize myself as an artist that works with multiple media, but a musician, a writer, and a visual artist. So when I think about it that way, it's like, oh, okay, well, like those are the broader concepts of how I am existing in the world as an artist, and these are the things I choose to use to express myself as an artist, and those things can change, and allowing that fluidity is a really important piece. That said, if I decided, you know what, I really should hone my ability to draw and to use that ability to draw portraits and let that underscore being able to paint portraits really well, that would be an excellent goal for me to set and to keep and to stay focused on that form of art for a while. And I could see myself doing that, assuming all of my overhead is covered, solidly for a good year or more, where that becomes more my main focus was working on drawing portraits, and probably some landscapes too, but portraits I think are my strength, and then strengthening my ability to paint portraits from there. So that's going to take more of an investment, and that's been put on the back burner so many times, largely because I'm a single parent with now 2 teenagers, so I haven't really had a lot of extra time to invest in my art. But that's changing, and it will continue to change, and I'll continue to find myself with more time than I know what to do with. And so if I have some really concrete artistic goals, that would be, actually I should write them down, because once I find myself with a lot more time on my hands, I'm gonna be like, oh God, what do I do now? Well, I could invest in portrait art. So let's see, I'm gonna read through some of your comments real quick. Remote learning for special education must be really challenging right now. Especially, God, everybody's so bombarded with being online and engaging with the computer screen. And it's got to be exhausting. It was already exhausting, but now with the staying at home and having that being everybody's primary interface, it's got to be hard. I hope that I hope that you find things for them to do that they don't have to be online. I mean, I'm sure that you probably do, but finding things for them to do that are completely offline, creating collage art or something, or paper mache, or something that's very tangible, that they can get their hands dirty and does not need a computer whatsoever, and then they can bring it back to show you. That's yeah, that's just gotta be. That sounds like a lot of work. Yeah, just even thinking about having to do all that is just I feel tired. As I've been trying so concertedly to not do so much stuff online, and it's so hard to not do stuff with a computer, or to earn a living. It's really hard to not, or it's hard to find a way to earn a living that doesn't require having to be on a computer and using email. And my God, the day that I can stop using email. Yeah, that's true. When you get to a point where you're just ready to clock out and be done. That is actually a good feeling too, when you've like used all of your faculty for a while and like you've like fully embraced what the task at hand, fully invested yourself, and then like get to a point where like, okay, now I'm done for the day. That's a pretty good feeling. Like you like, it's like, I don't know, using all the gears, and then you can rest. Maybe that's what's kind of behind and driving my my need to use all these different forms of art, is I'm like trying to use all of the gears, and until I like work through the whole cycle of all of them, it's not complete. You're awesome. I mean, right. Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very, yeah, it's not very. Well, yeah, October Summer Nights. This is, well, I think tomorrow is supposed to be, actually today was in the 70s here, and then tomorrow's I think supposed to be in the high upper 60s, maybe another couple days of in the 70s, and then soon right around the corner it will be November. It's not long. Oh, let's see. You mean the lights? I mean like these lights. There will not be much light after that. Although, I wonder what that looked like. I mess with my camera. This is like playing jokes on my camera. Oh, yeah, but that's so boring. Okay, well, yeah, so so some of my visual art, mostly photography, is on my website at dawn.earth. It's there in the corner. Yeah. Because it's really easy. That's probably like one of the easier things to edit and throw up on a website is our photographs. And there's some links to some other things there too, to my various forms of art. It would be nice, I think, to focus on a few things to completion and get them to a level that I feel like is I have no idea what you're saying. Oh, I'm not sure if I can see all the comments that are coming through on this. Yeah, I think I am too. Well, possibly. I would, if it's a song request, I probably can't play it, so. But what is your request? Is it maybe? Oh, thank you. Yeah, let's see. Sorry, I'm making a lot of noise now. It's gonna be one that I can mostly remember. Let's see if I can, actually here's this, kind of like this little like lullaby that I was playing months ago that pushes me to actually work on my finger structure. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, da. Da, da, that one is called Song 122. Aw, thank you. You too. Thank you so much for tuning in and being part of this and really connecting. And I'm glad that I could share my songs with you. And thank you for listening. And I will be back next Saturday night because even as much as I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to say, I just keep tuning in. Yep, song 122. And I will, and usually it's, I go live Saturday nights, not before 10:28 p.m. Eastern, and usually not later than 11:43. So, all right. Cheers. Thank you, and take care. Until next time. And I will, let's see.